The air on Beerus's world was usually a cacophony of sublime power, the quiet, overwhelming resonance of a god of destruction sleeping nearby, the crisp, impossible energy of an angel stretching, and the two violent, volatile yet controlled key signatures of the Saiyan prodigies, Goku and Vegeta, constantly tearing through the atmosphere as they sparred. Today was no different. Goku, his body humming with the perfect stability of Super Saiyan Blue, had just launched a Kamehameha wave that threatened to cleave the indestructible surface of the planet in two, a casual exertion aimed at Vegeta. Vegeta, matching the intensity with a ferocious smirk, countered the attack not with his own energy blast, but by forcing a final flash into a compact sphere of destructive power barely larger than his fist, a demonstration of his refined Kai control. The resulting collision was, to the native life, a typical Tuesday. But to an outsider, it was a cataclysmic, world-ending event. A flash of emerald light, sharp and alien, tore a silent seam in the dark void surrounding Beerus's world. Not the energy of Kai, but something colder, mechanical, and infinitely more controlled. The sudden appearance was not heralded by the sonic boom of acceleration, but by the whine of dimensional tearing and the immediate, chillingly calm activation of a power ring's warning system. Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern of Sector 2814, arrived with his internal systems screaming, every logical circuit in the ring overloaded by the raw, untamed force of the Kai signatures he was now swimming in. The ring's automated universal translator immediately filtered the incomprehensible language of destruction into coherent data. Warning: detected 4 unique, non-Kai energy signatures. Threat level: catastrophic. Source: 1. Deep purple aura. Eradication. Potential universal. Source: 2. Silver aura. Energy. Signature: infinite, uncategorized. Sources: 3 and 4. Blue auras. Kinetic force. Output: Planet Buster class, escalating exponentially. Initiating containment protocol, Gamma 7, immediate intervention required. The Lantern's arrival was marked by the sudden appearance of a colossal emerald green containment dome, miles wide, that snapped into existence, attempting to seal off the colossal key clash between Goku and Vegeta. Hal's will was absolute: containment. The construct, a flawless crystalline structure of solidified light, slammed down with the force of 1,000,000 tons, intended to suffocate the key energy and neutralize the threat. Goku and Vegeta, focused entirely on their sparring match, barely registered the energy signature, but the moment the green light touched the Kamehameha and the final flash sphere, they knew this was an opponent unlike any they had faced. The construct didn't explode, it absorbed the raw energy, the emerald color deepening to a vibrant, glowing jade as it strained against the cosmic output of Super Saiyan Blue. "Whoa, Vegeta!" Goku cried out, his focus shifting instantly from offense to curiosity, the familiar glint of excitement in his eyes. He released the energy, letting the Kamehameha dissipate into the alien material of the dome. "What is that? It's not Kai, but it sure is tough. Are you ready for a new training partner?" Vegeta snorted, retracting his compact final flash energy and allowing the dome to completely enclose them, trapping them inside the construct with Hal Jordan hovering at the apex. Vegeta's expression was a mixture of supreme annoyance and grudging interest. "Idiot, this isn't a training partner. This bastard arrived and immediately tried to trap us. It's a pathetic attempt at containment. Look at the energy signature. It's arrogant. It thinks it can order me around." Hal Jordan, now fully manifested inside the ring's immense structure, ignored the small talk and the astonishing speed with which the blue-haired combatants had dispersed their attacks. His mask formed over his face, his stance one of controlled focus. "This is Green Lantern Hal Jordan of the Sector 2814 Corps. By authority of the Guardians of the Universe, I have contained a critical, unregulated energy event. Stand down immediately and explain the origin of your destructive capabilities. To comply will result in escalation of force." He spoke through the ring's translator, the voice calm and authoritative, echoing throughout the colossal green chamber. He couldn't sense their power level in the way a scouter or a Kai user would. He could only measure the raw, kinetic energy they casually flung around, and that number was higher than anything the ring had ever calculated for mortal, uncontained threats. It registered near parallax event status. Goku, always the first to act, couldn't suppress his excitement. He powered up a little further, the blue aura around him intensifying, causing the emerald walls of the construct to shiver for the first time. The pressure alone was a physical assault on the ring's integrity. "Containment, huh? I don't know what a lantern is, but if you're strong enough to build a box this tough, you must be strong enough to fight. Come on, let's see what else you can do." Without waiting for permission or protocol, Goku launched himself at Hal Jordan. It was a test of speed, strength, and will. The Green Lantern responded not with a punch, but with a construct born of pure imagination and perfect willpower, an Emerald F-22 Raptor, perfectly detailed, that launched 2 miniature green energy missiles at the advancing Saiyan. The missiles were faster than a normal fighter jet, but Goku was in Super Saiyan Blue. He didn't bother dodging, he simply slapped the projectiles away, the residual key in his palm instantly overloading and dissolving the green light construct with a puff of non-toxic smoke. Hal's eyes widened behind the mask. Impossible. A direct contact with a Class 9 construct should have neutralized the target's kinetic output. Analyzing, target's body is a self-sustaining Kai energy generator, threat level recategorized, absolute priority. Hal adapted instantly. He abandoned the projectile tactic. He created a gigantic, two-handed energy axe of solidified willpower, his mental focus hardening the molecular density of the light construct to an impossible degree. He met Goku's next move, a right hook of impossible speed, with the green axe. The resulting collision sent a shockwave that wasn't ki, but pure kinetic feedback that finally cracked the massive containment dome around them. Krakoom! The sound was deafening. The axe didn't shatter, it bent, its perfect crystalline structure resisting the SSB force, but the sheer, raw power of the Saiyan's physical blow was greater than the willpower holding the energy together. Hal Jordan was thrown back by the force, but he compensated mid-air, creating a perfect green baseball glove construct that slowed his momentum before he touched the ground. Heh, not bad. Goku landed, his blue hair unruffled, his smile broad. You've got a good defense, but you're wasting energy on all that stuff. Just hit me with your full power. Vegeta observed the exchange, a smug sneer playing on his lips. What a fool. He uses a construct to do the fighting for him. He thinks a mere light trick can withstand the power of a Super Saiyan god. He may have the will, but he lacks the power to back it up. Hal Jordan stood, the ring's automated diagnostics reading a 2.3% energy expenditure from a single clash with the blue-haired warrior. This was unprecedented. He was fighting a living black hole of energy. He raised his hand, the ring glowing brighter than ever as he projected the full, calculated force of his will. A massive, emerald robot construct, 50 feet tall, detailed with intricate, heavy armor plating and armed with cannons, fists, and a gigantic shield. It was the purest expression of Hal's resolve. Do not interfere with universal order. The stage was set. Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern, was now facing a pair of warriors who measured their power by the destruction they could cause, not the order they could maintain. The resulting battle was going to reshape the understanding of power for both the Green Lantern Corps and the warriors of Universe 7. The cosmic chaos promised in the title was just beginning. If you want to see more characters enter different universes, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character and the universe you'd want to see them in down in the comments below. The adventure never ends. The colossal emerald robot, a manifestation of Hal Jordan's singular, unwavering will to impose order, towered over the two blue-haired Saiyans. It was a strategy born of pure logic. A direct power-for-power confrontation had failed, so Hal would rely on scale and calculated reinforced durability. The robot construct had a thick, pressurized force field woven into its frame, designed to dissipate kinetic energy and withstand stellar impact. Goku looked up at the towering green machine, his eyes sparkling with delight. "Ooh, a big one! Can I go first, Vegeta?" Vegeta stepped back, crossing his arms and maintaining his Super Saiyan Blue form, his focus intense. "Go ahead, Kakarot. Show the alien how pathetic his toys are when faced with a true warrior's power, but don't break him completely, I still want a turn." Goku's body exploded with Kai. He didn't bother with fancy moves, he used pure, unadulterated strength. He shot forward, covering the 50-foot distance to the robot's chest in less than an instant, his movement shattering the air in his wake. His fist connected not with the armor, but with the pressure field surrounding it. The sound was not an impact, but a sickening implosion of green light. The force field, a construct intended to handle the gravity of a neutron star, crumbled under the sheer kinetic force of a Super Saiyan Blue punch. The robot construct staggered backward, its internal systems momentarily stalling, its emerald glow flickering as Hal Jordan felt the unexpected, devastating feedback of the ring's energy being instantaneously negated by raw martial power. Warning: energy construct integrity at 45%. Key signature 3, Goku, possesses an intrinsic energy that disrupts the ring's ability to maintain a stable molecular structure within constructs. Recommendation: shift to energy projection. Hal was staggered. The Saiyans were not just powerful, their energy was corrosive to the ring's light constructs, destabilizing them at a molecular level with pure, focused Kai. He cancelled the robot construct instantly, redirecting the massive amount of saved willpower energy into a pair of gigantic twin cannons that materialized over his shoulders. "Cease immediate hostility! My primary function is observation and containment!" Hal shouted as he unleashed twin beams of pure white-hot emerald energy. This wasn't a standard lantern blast, this was a calculated near-solar flare output of willpower intended to incinerate any physical threat. Goku, grinning widely, didn't dodge the energy blast, a mistake most would make. He simply met it with a Kaioken multiplier on top of his Super Saiyan Blue form. Kaioken! The deep blue aura exploded into a ferocious red overlay, the combined ki screaming with a primal intensity that made the surrounding space twist. Goku didn't even use a Kamehameha. He cupped his hands and, with a shout, fired his aura itself. It was a raw, kinetic, spiritual force that slammed into the green lantern's twin beams. The clash was not a beam struggle, it was a reversal of polarity. Goku's raw ki, intensified by the Kaioken's multiplier, instantly overpowered the willpower energy. The emerald beams fractured, the ki blast swallowing the light, and the remaining energy slammed directly into Hal Jordan. The impact threw Hal across the entire surface of Beerus's planet, his energy-dampening suit absorbing the blow, but the force was so immense that he left a trench miles long, scattering the purple dust of the planet's surface. He slammed into the planet's central pillar, a massive, indestructible rock formation with a dull, metallic thwang. The ring's charge was now down to 88%, a catastrophic loss for a single exchange. "Kakarot, you fool, you're using too much power." Vegeta's voice cut through the air, less a warning and more a complaint that the fight was escalating without his permission. Goku returned to normal Super Saiyan Blue, scratching his head. "Oops, sorry Vegeta, but that guy's really tough. That blast was huge, but his shield took most of it. Hal Jordan slowly floated out of the rubble, his entire body bruised, the internal systems of his suit temporarily shocked by the raw power. He had formed a layered force field, not out of instinct, but out of a desperate, conscious will to survive the blast. The ring's translator was now crackling with frantic warnings. Damage report, suit integrity 67%, ring charge 88%, energy output. Required to neutralize target is increasing exponentially. Physical body has sustained major trauma. Target is not using an energy weapon. The force is emitted directly from the body's life force. The Lantern realized the fundamental truth of the Dragon Ball universe. These fighters weren't just strong, they were living energy batteries who could turn their very life force into an instantaneous weapon. His light constructs, fueled by thought and concentration, were simply too slow and too complex to stand up to the raw simplicity of a Kaioken-infused ki punch. He had to change tactics. He wouldn't rely on complex constructs. He would rely on the one thing the Green Lantern Corps was known for, willpower over all else. Hal flew high into the air, the emerald glow around him flaring with renewed intensity, not of power, but of focus. He began to spin rapidly, gathering momentum. He didn't create a construct, he projected a pure, unyielding green energy shell around himself, a seamless, perfectly smooth sphere of light that pulsed with his focused determination. "He's gathering energy," Vegeta observed, his eyes narrowed. "He's concentrating his power into that shell. Don't underestimate him, Kakarot. He still possesses a fighting spirit." Goku nodded, his own ki flaring in response. "I know he's not done yet." Hal Jordan stopped his spinning. The sphere remained a perfectly silent, dense weapon of pure will. He slammed his fist into the sphere's internal wall, the impact momentarily contained, and with a grunt of absolute focus, he launched himself forward. The sphere transformed from a defensive shell into a gigantic emerald drill bit, spinning so fast it vibrated with a low, deep thrum aimed directly at Goku. This was Hal Jordan's attempt to counter Kai with perfect, focused kinetic willpower. Vegeta, however, had seen enough of Kakarot's recklessness. This was an ordered attack, a concentrated effort that might actually pierce the Saiyan's guard. I told you I wanted a turn." The Saiyan Prince exploded forward with his own unique Kai signature. His Super Saiyan Blue aura flared, but instead of the usual blue, the final ring of his aura turned purple. This was not Ultra Ego, but a calculated, deliberate refinement of his Super Saiyan Blue final flash energy, distilled to its absolute limit. Vegeta didn't dodge the drill, he met it head-on with a full-power, zero-distance Gallic gun. "Gallic gun, fire!" The purple beam erupted from his hands, not wide and destructive, but compressed and focused into an annihilating lance of Kai. It struck the tip of the emerald drill construct. The drill, fueled by the limitless will of Hal Jordan, met the ultimate destructive will of the Saiyan Prince. The resulting explosion didn't just crack the drill, it pulverized the structure, atomizing the light construct instantly. The residual Kai force of the compressed Gallic gun ripped through the remaining construct energy and impacted Hal Jordan directly, throwing him backward once more, this time with even greater velocity. Hal slammed down hard, his mask disappearing to reveal a human face bruised and bleeding from the internal trauma of the kinetic force. He was gasping for air, the pressure of the Saiyan's power literally crushing him. The ring was now flashing red. Ring charge 74%. User's willpower is insufficient to counter the target's raw, destructive ki output. Recommendation: retreat. Hal Jordan, the man whose will could move mountains, had just been effortlessly swatted aside by two mortals whose power levels exceeded anything he could logically calculate. He looked up at the immense purple shadow that had suddenly fallen over him. It wasn't Vegeta. It was a new, far more terrifying figure. The massive, feline shadow of Beerus, the god of destruction, stood over him, an expression of detached interest on his face. Hal's ring screamed a new, utterly terrifying diagnostic. New target detected, source 1, deep purple aura. Key signature, destruction. Threat level, eradication. The lantern knew with a certainty that chilled him to his core that this being had the power to not just defeat him, but to wipe him from existence entirely. The true universal threat was only just beginning to awaken. The air around Beerus thickened into a palpable, heavy silence that dwarfed the earlier chaos of the Saiyan Spa. Hal Jordan, instinctively creating a minor force field around himself for protection, felt the immense pressure of the god of destruction's aura. It wasn't a hostile ki flare like the Saiyans. It was a lack of ki, a sublime emptiness that felt like the precursor to absolute nothingness. The power ring's logic circuits finally found a name for the phenomenon. Target ki, signature matches cosmic profile for Hakai energy. Warning, matter, erasure imminent. Beerus descended slowly, his feline eyes narrowed in amused curiosity. Whis, the angel attendant, floated down beside him, his expression one of polite, almost bored observation. My, Beerus purred, his voice holding the weight of a dying star. Another arrogant mortal who thinks his little glowy rock can withstand a proper spa. Tell me, Green One, what exactly were you trying to contain? My students? Or just my patience? Hal Jordan pushed himself up, his ring flaring in a desperate attempt to restore his rapidly depleting energy. His willpower, though shaken by the sheer, unexpected power of Goku and Vegeta, was beginning to steady now that he had a defined threat. He refused to show fear. I am Green Lantern Hal Jordan. I intervened to neutralize an escalating, uncontrolled energy signature that violated the basic tenets of universal safety. Your student's power output is measured in planetary annihilation. That kind of power, unregulated, is an immediate threat to life, Hal stated, his voice tight with determination. And you, he added, looking directly at Beerus, your energy signature is purely entropic. What are you? Beerus blinked, then let out a slow, resonant chuckle. Entropic? I am the god of destruction, Beerus, and in this universe my authority is the universal safety you speak of, and as for your willpower, show me its limit. Without warning, Beerus extended a single, slender finger. A tiny purple ball of energy, smaller than a marble, materialized above his fingertip. It held no heat, made no sound, and had no discernible key signature to anything but the most refined key sense. Yet the air around it shimmered with the certainty of absolute nothingness. Hakai. Whis spoke, his voice gentle and informative. That, Mr. Jordan, is the energy of destruction. It permanently erases all matter, ki, and even souls from existence. Your willpower is fascinating, but can you will yourself to exist when you are not supposed to? Hal Jordan's mind worked faster than light. The ring, fueled by his desperate resolve, screamed a warning that this was a threat unlike any other. Direct engagement, Chorg's total erasure. He couldn't create a shield. Hakai would erase the construct and the force holding it together. He couldn't dodge. The energy would follow the concept of his existence. He did the only thing he could do. He poured his absolute, total willpower, a massive, near limitless reserve of pure energy, into a single, radical construct, a perfect, crystalline facsimile of a miniature black hole designed to contain the Hakai energy within its own self-destructing gravity well. The green, swirling, gravity-intensive construct materialized instantly between Beerus and Hal. The marble-sized purple Hakai energy drifted into the black hole construct. For a fraction of a second, the two conflicting forces, pure, unyielding will, creation, versus absolute nothingness, destruction, met in a silent, beautiful flash of emerald and purple light. There was no explosion. The black hole construct simply vanished, along with the Hakai energy it contained. The act of containing and neutralizing the Hakai energy cost Hal Jordan a massive, terrifying chunk of his ring's stored power. Ring charge, 51%, catastrophic energy drain. User's willpower successfully contained unknown energy type, but at significant cost. Immediate recharge recommended. Beerus blinked again, a slow, predatory smile spreading across his face. He actually looked impressed. Fascinating. A mortal successfully willed a way to contain Hakai without being a god of destruction. I have not seen such willpower since, well, ever. You were quite amusing, Lantern, but exhausting too. I'm going back to sleep. Whis, you handle the cleanup. With a casual yawn, Beerus simply floated away, back toward the huge tree on the planet, his interest satisfied, but his patience depleted. Whis, tapping his staff on the ground, turned to Hal Jordan, his expression still completely placid. Well done, Mr. Jordan. You have piqued Lord Beerus's interest, which is either a very good thing or a very bad thing, depending on the day. Your energy system is unique. It seems to function purely on the spiritual manifestation of conviction. Your power is limitless, but your battery is not. You have used more energy in 5 minutes than you should use in a week. Hal Jordan was still reeling, breathing heavily. He had faced down annihilation and survived, but at a cost. What do you mean, battery? Your ring, Whis explained gently, pointing with his staff. It seems to require a recharge, much like a mortal device. Lord Beerus senses the time-based energy constraint on your power. While your will may be infinite, your energy source is finite. My students, however, generate their own Kai, their power limited only by their physical stamina and desire to break their limits. They are essentially limitless batteries of destruction, as you put it. Goku, now recovered and excited, floated down beside Whis. Yeah, we can fight all day. We just have to eat a lot. Hal looked from the serene, all-powerful angel to the easily impressed God-tier Saiyan, and then back to his rapidly depleting ring. He understood the profound, terrifying difference. His power was a weapon. Theirs was an extension of their very being. To truly compete in this universe, he needed to understand this Kai energy. Where is the highest concentration of this Kai on this planet? Where is the source of the danger I'm supposed to contain? Hal asked, the ring translating the question into his own language. Seek the source of the anomaly. Whis smiled faintly. Ah, the source. That would be Earth. The planet where all our strongest mortals and most of our planet-busting history is centered. You'll find it quite enlightening. Perhaps a change of venue will help your charging dilemma. He tapped his staff again, and before Hal could object, Whis used instantaneous movement to transport the Green Lantern, along with Goku and Vegeta, not to Earth, but to the lookout high above it, Kami's lookout. They arrived with a silent flash. The sheer density of mortal Kai, uncontrolled, varied, and potent, was immediately obvious. Hal's ring began to scan the Earth's history, pulling up immediate data from its core library. The history was shocking. Red Ribbon Army, King Piccolo, the Saiyan invasion, Frieza's destruction of Namek, the androids, Cell's game, the revival of Buu. It was a history of almost uninterrupted, casually world-ending destruction that was always resolved by one of these very same unregulated threats. Hal Jordan looked down at the pale, purple-skinned warrior in a white turban who stood waiting for them. Piccolo, and the half-Saiyan who stood next to him, Gohan. He realized his mission to contain a single threat was hopelessly flawed. This entire world was a walking, ticking time bomb of self-created universal threats. The ring glowed with a new tactical mission: investigate and assess all immediate threats to universal order. The sudden appearance of the three figures, the God-ki-infused Saiyans and the bewildered Green Lantern, on Kami's lookout, was met with a mixture of surprise and immediate alert. Piccolo, his Namekian antennae twitching, recognized the auras of Goku and Vegeta instantly, but the emerald energy radiating from Hal Jordan was completely foreign and utterly distinct from Kai. It felt cold, rigid, and intensely focused, a stark contrast to the volatile heat of Saiyan energy. "Goku, Vegeta, what is this?" Piccolo's voice was a low growl, his stance instantly defensive. He looked at the lantern, assessing the unfamiliar power. He could not sense the ring's energy like ki, but he could feel the sheer force and will behind the man's being. Gohan, standing beside his mentor, recognized the potential for trouble. He shifted into his ultimate mystic form, his ki flaring golden white, a signal that while he preferred peace, he was ready to defend the Earth and his family. Hal Jordan, having analyzed Earth's tumultuous history via his ring's database, saw Piccolo and Gohan not as allies, but as two of the most significant, high-casualty threats in the planet's recorded history. Piccolo, the reincarnation of a demon king, and Gohan, the half-breed with the rage-fueled power to destroy a solar system. Hal pointed a focused green finger at Piccolo. "Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, you are identified as a Namekian entity with regeneration capabilities, former Demon King lineage, and a history of planet-scale threats. Your current power level is dangerously high and unregulated. Stand down and submit to Universal Containment Protocol for debriefing." Piccolo scoffed, folding his arms. "Containment? You think you can contain a Namekian warrior? You've clearly learned nothing from your fight with these two idiots." He motioned toward Goku and Vegeta with a slight nod. Hal ignored the slight and shifted his focus to Gohan. "Subject Gohan, half-breed Saiyan human, potential for unpredictable rage-fueled power output, capable of mass annihilation, responsible for the death of Android 16, and the complete destruction of the cell threat. Your current ultimate state represents an exponentially high, unearned power level. This level of power without disciplined, universal oversight constitutes a threat." Gohan, rarely insulted, felt a spark of anger. "Unearned. I fight to protect my family. I choose not to destroy. My power is controlled by my heart, not by a rulebook." The exchange was a perfect collision of philosophies. Universal law, the core, versus personal freedom, chi protection, the Z-fighters. Hal Jordan, driven by his core mandate to protect life by maintaining order, poured his will into a new construct. He created a perfect, crystalline replica of the Earth contained within a heavy-duty, reinforced cage of green energy. The Earth construct was so detailed that the ring could monitor every key signature on it, from the lowest human to the highest warrior. "Your choice is insufficient, Saiyan hybrid. Life cannot be protected when beings with your power level, one that casually destroys planets, are left to police themselves. I have witnessed this planet's history. It is a cycle of destruction and rebirth. The cage represents the only guaranteed security against the potential for self-destruction. This entire system is fundamentally broken. I am here to fix it." Goku, meanwhile, had found the gravity controls and was immediately trying to figure out how they worked, completely ignoring the philosophical debate. Vegeta, however, had been listening closely. He strode forward, his Super Saiyan blue form flaring slightly, the purple hint of refined power still in his aura. "So, Vegeta sneered, his voice dripping with arrogance. "You judge us by our capacity for destruction. You think that by caging us you can control the universe. That pathetic ring of yours runs on rules and fear of losing control. That is why your power is finite, why your battery drains so quickly." Vegeta stepped directly into the lantern's projected image of Earth, the crystalline world shimmering around him. "We fight to break our limits. We fight to become stronger than yesterday. That is why we live in a universe of endless improvement. Your will is devoted to maintenance. Ours is devoted to transcendence. I do not fear my power. I demand more of it." He raised his hand and slammed a concentrated, low-power blue Kai blast onto the intricate green cage construct. The cage did not break. It rippled, but the sheer willpower holding the construct together held firm. The ring flashed. "Construct integrity, 95%. Impressive," Vegeta admitted with a rare grunt of respect. "You possess a will worthy of a warrior, but your philosophy is weak, alien. A true warrior demands a fight to push their limits, not a cage to enforce their rules. You are too self-righteous to understand the thrill of true power." Hal Jordan, angered by the continuous condescending dismissal of the Corps' authority, prepared a counterattack. The ring was only at 51%, but the perceived threat from the arrogant Saiyan was now the highest priority. He created a gigantic emerald guillotine of pure will, intending to shear off the Saiyan prince's arms and render him immobile for transport. Before Hal could activate the devastating construct, Piccolo, the tactical genius among the Z fighters, stepped forward. He didn't use an attack. He simply raised his hand and fired a compressed special beam cannon, Makanko Sapo, past the lantern, aiming for the Earth construct cage. The resulting sound was a high-pitched drill whine that cut through the lookout's atmosphere. The special beam cannon wasn't powerful enough to destroy the cage immediately, but its focused drilling key proved uniquely effective against the lantern's layered defenses. The cage construct began to crackle and flicker violently. "Your will is strong," Piccolo admitted, "but your constructs are still based on physical principles like density and structure. My technique is designed to pierce. It will drain your battery faster than any wide-scale attack." Hal's ring screamed, "Warning! Highly focused key signature causing molecular instability, construct integrity rapidly degrading, ring charge 45%. Hal, realizing the tactical brilliance of the focused attack, dissipated the guillotine and refocused his will into a powerful, multi-layered wall construct to shield him from the drilling attack. This was the moment Vegeta had been waiting for. "Now we fight, Lantern!" Vegeta roared, his blue aura flaring with renewed intensity. He was not protecting the Earth construct. He was seeking to settle the philosophical rivalry with a pure, unadulterated clash of power and will. Vegeta launched himself at the lantern, demanding a one-on-one battle that would force Hal Jordan to truly feel the difference between regulated power and limitless ambition. The confrontation had shifted from a philosophical debate to a high-stakes, pride-fueled sparring match. Vegeta wanted to break the lantern's will, not just his constructs. The sparring match between Vegeta and Hal Jordan was not about protecting Earth. It was a brutal, personal clash between the principle of absolute control and the creed of endless transcendence. Vegeta, his Super Saiyan Blue form, humming with contained fury, viewed the Green Lantern as the ultimate expression of arrogance, a warrior who believed a rulebook and a battery could dictate limits to a Saiyan prince. Vegeta moved with lightning speed, not using a large energy blast, but a series of quick, precise, Kai-infused punches and kicks, each strike carrying the annihilating power of 1,000 suns, but perfectly controlled to the lantern's immediate location. This was the prince's signature style, ruthless efficiency and minimal wasted energy. Hal Jordan, recovering from Piccolo's piercing attack, was forced to abandon massive constructs. He realized that scale was his greatest enemy in this universe. Instead, he channeled his willpower into augmenting his own physical speed and defense. He encased his entire body in a Green Lantern battle armor, a seamless, skin-tight construct of hardened light that served as both a shield and a mobility booster, allowing him to momentarily match the Saiyan's absurd speed. Clang, clang! The sounds of their impacts echoed across the lookout. Vegeta's Kai-infused fists connected with the emerald armor, creating spectacular green and blue shockwaves. The armor held, but the kinetic feedback sent shockwaves through Hal's body, causing him internal pain that rivaled his earlier encounter with the Kaioken-boosted Goku. Hal retaliated with a construct born of pure instinct and combat experience, a rapid-fire Gatling gun constructed of green light, spewing forth thousands of miniature, kinetic energy rounds. The rounds were not as powerful as a ki blast, but their speed and quantity were designed to overwhelm Vegeta's concentration. Vegeta, however, had trained with Whis. He didn't bother dodging the entire spray. He simply used his perfected Kai control to phase his body through the light bullets, a movement that bordered on instant transmission but was simply ultra-high-speed repositioning within an impossibly small window of space. The green rounds tore through the space where he was, and then the Saiyan Prince reappeared inches from the lantern. "Too slow, Lantern!" Vegeta roared, his fist retracting slightly before delivering a crushing blow. Hal, predicting the move, threw up a reinforced, layered force field, a complex, multifaceted shield, just as Vegeta's fist connected. The shield held for a fraction of a second before shattering into a billion pieces of light, but it had bought Hal the time he needed. Hal used the rebound to execute a tactic only a lantern could. He created a miniature, highly focused tractor beam of green light and instantly wrapped it around Vegeta's right arm, the control dictated by the purity of his will. He then amplified the gravitational pull to 1,000 times, Earth's normal gravity attempting to pin the Saiyan to the ground. Vegeta laughed, a wild, arrogant sound. He was pushed into the ground, but he did not shatter. Instead, his blue aura intensified, and a single, vein-popping moment later, he shattered the gravity construct with pure, brute force and Kai expulsion, the green light exploding outward. "You rely on external force, not internal power," Vegeta taunted, his pride fueling his power. "You are trapped by your own logic. You are strong, but you have reached your ceiling, while we have none." Hal Jordan was forced to retreat momentarily, flying high above the atmosphere. The ring was now flashing orange. Ring charge, 33%. Critical energy expenditure. User's physical condition is rapidly degrading. Recommendation, immediate recharge. Hal knew Vegeta was right. The constant need for complex, power-intensive constructs to counter the Saiyan's casual destruction was bleeding the ring dry. He had to end this, or he would be left powerless in a universe of gods. He looked down at the planet, seeing the massive, uncontrolled power signatures waiting below. His will hardened, not to defeat Vegeta, but to show him the consequence of unchecked power. Hal decided to leverage his unique power to force the Saiyan to concede. Hal Jordan stopped focusing on the Saiyan. He began to channel his will into a planet-scale, highly complex construct of a massive, intricate dragon that began to wrap itself around the Earth. This was not a weapon, it was a display of absolute control. The Green Dragon construct was meant to show Vegeta that Hal could, with a thought, completely paralyze and control the very planet the Saiyans claimed to protect. The dragon's head lowered, its eyes glowing emerald, staring directly into Vegeta's soul. Vegeta saw the massive, imposing dragon construct and felt the sudden, crushing weight of the lantern's true power. the power to impose his will on a planetary scale. For a moment, even the Saiyan prince faltered, realizing that this alien could hold the entire Earth hostage with his mind. But before the ultimate confrontation could escalate, a new signal pierced the air, causing both the Lantern's ring and the Saiyan's key sense to go haywire. It was a cold, chillingly familiar key signature, one that spoke of galactic tyranny and calculated destruction. The signal was rapidly approaching Earth from the far reaches of space. Goku, who had been watching the spar from the side, instantly sensed the familiar, vile energy. His eyes went wide with a look that was not excitement, but grim seriousness. "No, that key, it's Frieza, he's back, and he's stronger than before," Goku roared, his Super Saiyan blue aura flaring in genuine anger. Vegeta instantly dropped his challenging stance toward Hal Jordan. The threat of the Lantern's arrogance vanished in the face of his personal nemesis. His eyes narrowed, and a terrifying cold rage began to build in his Kai. Hal Jordan's ring, now focused on the external threat, rapidly analyzed the approaching vessel and the powerful, evil Kai signature inside. New target detected: Frieza, species, Arcosian, history, galactic tyrant, multiple planet-scale genocide events, destroyed planet Vegeta. Threat level: imminent catastrophe. The tactical situation had violently inverted. The supposed threat, the Saiyans, was now preparing to fight the realized universal threat, Frieza. Hal, his own will to protect life overriding the COUSE protocol for containment, instantly dissolved the planet-sized dragon construct. It was a massive energy drain, leaving his ring critically low. Ring charge 19%, emergency power mode. He flew down to the Saiyans, his face set in grim determination. The threat has changed. That life form, Frieza, his history is one of universal terrorism. I will not allow him to reach Earth. Vegeta, however, turned to Hal with a renewed sense of arrogant superiority. "Stay out of this, Lantern. This is my fight. I will not have my ultimate revenge sullied by some green-armored rule enforcer." But Goku, ever the tactician when it mattered, intervened. "Wait, Vegeta, he's not weak and he has to recharge. We need a plan. Frieza is golden now, we can't underestimate him. We need all the strength we can get." Hal Jordan, ignoring the Saiyan's bravado, realized his predicament. He was critically low on energy and Frieza was coming. He needed a place to recharge the Power Ring's energy cell, and he needed a place where the Saiyans couldn't follow him instantly. He looked back at the planet they had come from, the domain of the Angel. "We need a place where no one can follow, where I can recharge my battery. Your friend, the Angel, took us here. Can he take me back?" Hal demanded, his will still unbowed despite his power situation. Goku looked up, seeing the familiar figure of Whis, who was now floating far above the planet, observing the situation with a placid, expectant smile. It was clear the Angel had planned for this escalation. The crisis was immediate and absolute. Frieza's ship, a streamlined evil silhouette, was already penetrating Earth's atmosphere, its presence a cold, palpable shadow of death that the entire Z-Fighter contingent sensed. Hal Jordan was in a dire situation. A universal threat was imminent, and his power source was almost completely depleted, leaving him a fragile mortal in a god-level arena. Ring charge 19%, emergency power mode, recharge protocol, priority Alpha 1. "Whis!" Goku called out, his voice imbued with the necessity of the moment. "We need to go to Beerus's planet now. We can't let Frieza get away again." Whis, who had been lazily stirring his staff in the air, descended with a serene smile. "Oh dear, Frieza, how tiresome. Very well. But Mr. Jordan, I must be direct. Your energy supply is completely foreign to our key-based system. We cannot assist you in charging it. You would need to access a source of immense, localized willpower energy or the central repository of your core. which I assume is not in this universe. Hal Jordan understood. The ring converted his emotional state, willpower, into quantifiable energy. To recharge quickly, he needed either a direct connection to the main battery on Oa or a source of willpower so intense it could rapidly cycle his ring to maximum charge. He looked at the Scions. Their power was key, not willpower, but their conviction was immense. "Take me," Hal commanded, his voice firm, pointing to the lookout's hyperbolic time chamber, HTC door. "I need a contained environment. I need 1 year of absolute, focused will projection without interruption. I will use the time to charge and adapt the ring's projection systems to counter this key energy." Piccolo immediately recognized the opportunity. The hyperbolic time chamber, 1 day here is 1 year inside. You want to spend a year focusing your power while Frieza is outside. "I don't have a choice," Hal snapped, his eyes flashing with determination. "I can't fight Frieza with 19% power. If I go in, I will return with 100% charge and a method to counter this key energy you all use. That is my will. It is absolute." Vegeta, however, scoffed. "A year of training to recharge a battery? You are a pathetic warrior, Green Lantern. While you are inside, Frieza will annihilate the Earth. No, we fight now." Goku, always the diplomat in times of crisis, stepped in. "Vegeta, calm down. We can hold him off. Frieza will want to make us suffer, not just blow up the Earth right away. We can buy him a few hours. Hal, go in. We need you at full strength." He then turned to Whis. "Whis, take me and Vegeta. We need to meet Frieza in space." Whis nodded, amused by the mortal's urgency. He tapped his staff, and with a flash, Goku and Vegeta vanished, instantly teleported to intercept Frieza's ship high above the planet. Piccolo, Gohan, and the remaining Z-fighters watched the HTC door. Hal Jordan stepped forward, creating a simple, functional green power battery construct, the lantern's standard charging apparatus, and placed it inside the door, setting the ring on top of it. He did not step in yet. "Gohan, Piccolo," Hal said, his voice surprisingly calm. "You spoke of protection and control. You will be my eyes. I am putting the ring on auto charge, but I need constant surveillance. Tell me what Frieza does. I will use the will of the ring to monitor your voices." Piccolo narrowed his eyes. "You think you can hear us from inside the hyperbolic time chamber? That's impossible. My ring is a universal translator, communicator, and a mental amplifier," Hal explained. "If my will is strong enough, I can maintain a mental link through the time chamber's temporal distortion. That link will be my willpower battery in the first moments. Every second you talk about Frieza's evil, my conviction will be reinforced. Every act of defiance against Frieza's terror will charge the ring." With his final instructions given, Hal Jordan stepped into the hyperbolic time chamber, the door slamming shut behind him. His year of absolute focus, driven by the urgency of the external threat, had begun. Inside the chamber, Hal Jordan sat in the featureless white void, the power battery construct glowing softly as the ring attached to it began its slow, agonizing charge. Ring charge 19.1%, time to full charge 365 days. Hal, breathing deeply, focused his mind not on the charge, but on the source of willpower itself. He would not just charge the ring, he would transcend its limitations. He focused on the Saiyan's philosophy of breaking the limit and adapted it to his own source of power. If their internal energy can escalate limitlessly, then my internal willpower can also break its limits. For the first few months, internal time, Hal used the ring's immense processing power to completely rewrite its operational parameters. He analyzed the key signatures broadcast by the Z-fighters, particularly Gohan's calm, focused voice relaying the events outside. Gohan's voice, outside, whispering, echoing in the chamber's temporal distortion. "Goku and Vegeta are fighting Frieza's soldiers. They're sweeping them aside. Frieza is just watching them, laughing. He's letting them exhaust themselves. Hal focused on the concept of calculated evil. He realized Frieza was not a mindless brute. He was a strategic tyrant. My constructs must be smarter, not just stronger. Months passed. Hal reached deep within himself, finding the source of his infinite will, the trauma of his past, the loss, the desire to never be helpless again. He converted that raw emotion into pure, cold power. He focused on adapting the ring's projections to mimic Kai. If he could project an energy that felt like Ki, it would destabilize the opponent's key defense mechanisms. Piccolo's voice, outside, low growl. Frieza, he's in his final form. Goku is going Super Saiyan Blue. The true fight is starting. Hal felt the immense, colliding Ki, signatures echoing through the temporal distortion. Ring charge, 50% halfway. He began his physical training, his body encased in heavy-duty green constructs that mimicked Goku's gravity training. He sparred against 1,000 projected constructs of Goku and Vegeta, each one programmed to use their unique SSB Kaioken attacks, forcing him to adapt his construct deployment to the speed of light. At the 300-day mark, Hal achieved a breakthrough. He wasn't just creating a shield, he was creating a Kai disruption construct. By carefully programming the ring to emit a high-frequency Kai resonant light pulse, he could temporarily disrupt and destabilize a Kai user's aura, forcing them to drop their form or lose control of a major blast. He had found his counter-tactic to the Saiyan's overwhelming raw power. Gohan's voice, outside, fearful, urgent. Frieza, he transformed. Golden, Frieza, he's too fast. Goku is taking a beating. Hal Jordan stood, his eyes blazing with emerald light. The year of training was over. His will was absolute, his body honed, and the ring, finally, was full. Ring charge 100%, adaptations complete. User ready for combat. Hal stepped out of the hyperbolic time chamber, emerging just moments after he had entered. Only a day had passed, but he was a completely new warrior, ready to enter the fray with Frieza. Hal Jordan stepped out of the hyperbolic time chamber, the white void of his year of intense focus replaced by the sun-drenched atmosphere of Kami's lookout. The Z-fighters looked at him with a mix of awe and skepticism. They saw the same man, but his emerald aura was now sharper, more intense, pulsing with a deep, resolute power that spoke of a battle fought and won within his own mind. Ring charge 100%, combat ready, Kai disruption protocols operational. Frieza is in his golden form, Piccolo stated, his eyes locked on the battle, raging far above the earth. Goku is Super Saiyan Blue, but Frieza is winning. He's faster, and his stamina management is better than Goku's for the moment. Before Hal could respond, a cold, smooth voice echoed from the sky, amplified by an unknown source. It wasn't Frieza's ship, it was Frieza's actual voice, a chillingly calm, mocking sound that resonated with palpable malice. Well, it seems my Saiyan monkeys have a new pet. That gaudy green light is quite distracting. Perhaps you are a warrior of high taste, unlike those savage apes. Do come down, green thing. We have much to discuss. Frieza had sensed the massive, sudden spike to 100% power emanating from the lookout. He recognized a unique non-Kai power source at full capacity and saw a prime opportunity. He momentarily disengaged from the struggling Goku, floating high above the planet, golden Frieza, blazing in the sun. Hal Jordan launched himself into the sky, his ring instantly creating a specialized atmosphere-breaching vessel of green light, a sleek, delta-wing fighter jet construct to carry him into the upper reaches of the atmosphere. He didn't use flight, he used willpower projection, making his ascent instant. He arrived high above the planet, hovering in his armor, facing the triumphant, malevolent form of Golden Frieza. "I am Green Lantern Hal Jordan. You are Frieza, the destroyer of worlds. Your actions violate universal law. Stand down or face the consequences," Hal stated, his voice calm and firm, amplified by the ring's universal speaker. Frieza laughed, a high-pitched, mocking sound. "Universal law? How quaint. I am the universal law, Lantern, and I've been watching you. You use a power based on willpower and order. You tried to contain the Saiyans, the single greatest source of chaos in this universe. You and I, we are kindred spirits in our desire for stability and control. The only difference is I recognize that stability is best achieved through absolute, unchallenged tyranny." Frieza then made his proposal, a masterpiece of deceptive manipulation. "Join me, Green Lantern. You have the will to enforce order. I have the army and the power to enforce it universally. We will destroy these volatile Saiyans, the ones who drain your precious battery with their useless need for limit breaking, and then, together, we will rule the cosmos with perfect, immutable order. Your ring's battery is a finite source. My golden form requires constant energy expenditure. We can solve each other's problems. What say you, Enforcer?" Hal Jordan's mind was instantly flooded with the ring's analysis. Frieza's history, 100% negative. Alliance probability, 0%. Threat level, catastrophic. But Hal did not answer with a simple rejection. He had spent a year listening to the Z Fighters. He had trained not just his power, but his conviction. "Your order is born of fear and death, Frieza. It is empty," Hal stated, his emerald aura intensifying. "The Saiyans may be chaotic, but their drive to protect their loved ones and transcend their limits is fueled by a will that is stronger than any fear you could impose. Their power is limitless because their conviction is pure. Yours is finite because it is born of ego and self-interest." Frieza's calm facade instantly shattered. His eyes narrowed and his golden aura flared with murderous intent. "Ego? Self-interest? You dare lecture me, a universal emperor, on philosophy? Then you have made your choice, fool. You will share their death." Before Frieza could launch an attack, Hal Jordan made his move. He knew he couldn't beat Golden Frieza in a prolonged raw COUSE construct battle. He had to rely on his year of adaptation. Hal channeled his full willpower into a single, pinpoint energy beam, not a construct, but a beam of highly concentrated, key-disrupting light. It was silent, invisible, and traveled at the speed of thought. The beam struck Golden Frieza directly in the chest, the contact point glowing with an internal green fire. The effect was immediate and catastrophic to Frieza's concentration. The golden aura violently flickered, destabilizing the meticulously controlled key transformation. Frieza gasped, his hands flying to his chest, the pain not physical, but a sharp, agonizing loss of control over his own Kai. "Well, what? What did you do?" Frieza shrieked, his voice losing its calm veneer, reverting to a desperate, terrified sound. "My power, I can't hold it." Hal had activated the key disruption protocol. By matching the Kai frequency with the ring's immense power, he was overloading Frieza's energy channels, forcing the tyrant to use a massive amount of internal ki just to maintain his golden form. "I have adapted," Hal stated, his power ring now projecting a massive, reinforced green mallet construct designed for a single, devastating impact. "The Lanterns fight against the fear that limits life. Your tyranny is that fear, Frieza. I am here to break it." Frieza, momentarily forced back into his final form due to the internal ki disruption, let out a roar of absolute, furious hatred. He was no longer playing a game of tactical maneuvering. He raised both his hands, gathering a colossal, planet-shattering ball of purple energy, a supernova attack aimed directly at the Green Lantern. Then be erased, green thing. This planet is no longer worth ruling if I can't have my revenge on those pathetic scions. The supernova, miles wide, descended upon the planet. Hal Jordan, now critically engaged, met the ultimate threat of Frieza's destruction with his own absolute will. He channeled every ounce of the ring's power not into a defense, but into a single, overwhelming counter-construct, a pure, crystalline, emerald barrier that was not a shield, but a redirector. The stage was set for the clash of a universal tyrant's raw key and a lantern's focused ultimate will. The colossal, swirling purple mass of Frieza's supernova hurtled toward Earth, casting a shadow of total annihilation over the planet. It was an attack born of raw, desperate malice, designed to destroy all life and erase the object of Frieza's hatred. Golden Frieza, having reverted to his final form due to the key disruption protocol, stood above the descending sphere, his eyes alight with psychotic fury. Hal Jordan, facing the supernova, felt the immense pressure of the Kai and destruction radiating from the sphere. His ring was at 100%, but this attack was a planetary-scale weapon of pure energy, a perfect counter to his construct-based power. He couldn't just shield against it. The impact would shatter the construct and the planet behind it. He had to rely on the ring's unique ability to interface with physical laws and his own transcendent will. Hal poured his will into the emerald barrier construct. It was not a flat shield, but a curved, perfectly polished half-sphere of green light that manifested between Frieza and the Earth. This construct was designed to act as an energy lens, redirecting the massive force into the vacuum of space far away from the planet. Kiare Shum. The supernova impacted the emerald barrier. The resulting pressure wave did not come from the explosion, but from the sudden refraction of the immense key energy. The green light of the barrier flared with impossible intensity, bending the purple Kai wave, forcing the energy to follow the curvature of the construct. The supernova, guided by Hal's focused will, screamed past the Earth, erupting harmlessly in the void of space. Hal Jordan was thrown back by the sheer, contained force of the redirection, his internal systems screaming. Ring charge, 45%, massive energy expenditure, key-based reflection successful. He had stopped a planetary attack, but at the cost of more than half his full charge in a single, devastating moment. Frieza, witnessing his ultimate attack being casually diverted by a mere light construct, was speechless for a terrifying second, his mind unable to compute the absolute power of the lantern's will. Then a cold, calculated rage took over. He understood now this green warrior was a strategic threat of the highest order. Frieza returned to golden form, pushing through the internal destabilization caused by the Kai disruption protocol, his focus on revenge now absolute. You infuriating pest, you will be erased. Frieza moved with impossible speed, his body a golden blur. He abandoned Kai blasts entirely and focused on a sustained, ruthless physical assault, a barrage of punches and kicks that rained down on Hal Jordan. His attacks were designed to break the man, not the construct, forcing Hal to continuously reinforce his armor and deflect the blows with quick, minimal energy constructs. Hal was overwhelmed. Golden Frieza's sustained close-quarters combat was too fast, too brutal, and too relentless. The Kai disruption protocol required time to charge and deploy. Frieza was not giving him that luxury. Hal's ring was now focused on survival. He created an energy net construct to slow Frieza, but the tyrant shredded it with a simple key flare. He created an energy blade to force Frieza back, but Frieza caught the blade with his bare hands and broke it with a squeeze. "Pathetic!" Frieza screamed, landing a massive kick that sent Hal Jordan tumbling through the atmosphere, the Green Lantern armor now visibly cracked and smoking. "Your will is strong, but your body is weak. You cannot keep up with true, limitless power." Just as Frieza prepared his finishing move, a compressed, ultra-destructive death beam, a blue and red blur, streaked past him. It was Goku, finally free from Frieza's initial distraction and now fully recovered, his Super Saiyan Blue form stable and burning with controlled heat. "Enough, Frieza! Your fight is with me!" Goku roared, launching a full-power, wide-scale Kamehameha at the tyrant. Frieza was forced to abandon his attack on the lantern and meet Goku's Ki Blast with his own, the resulting beam struggle momentarily stabilizing the cosmic conflict. Hal Jordan, broken and bruised, slammed onto the surface of the Earth, narrowly missing Kami's lookout. He was battered, his ring flashing red. Ring charge, 21%. User has sustained multiple internal injuries. Recommendation, retreat. He lay there, gasping, watching the terrifying clash of blue and gold Kai in the atmosphere. He had failed to defeat the threat, and his only true weapon was almost depleted again. He was about to be rendered useless. Suddenly a massive shadow fell over him. Hal prepared for the worst, another Golden Frieza surprise attack, but instead he saw a familiar, imposing figure, Vegeta. The Saiyan Prince stood over him, still in his Super Saiyan Blue form, his face a mixture of cold disdain and grudging respect. Vegeta had arrived to observe, not to help. "You fool," Vegeta sneered, kicking a small pebble into the crater Hal had created. "You had the power to stop him, but your ring's pathetic rules and limitations rendered you useless. You use the power of the mind, but you allow your battery to run down. You don't understand the Saiyan truth. You must break your limitations, not manage them." Vegeta then did the unexpected. He extended a hand toward the severely wounded Green Lantern. "Tell me, Lantern, do you want to defeat him, or do you want to simply contain him? If you want to defeat him, you must be willing to sacrifice your limitations. I won't allow that arrogant worm to take my revenge. Kakarot is struggling because Frieza is now fighting with a will to destroy not just power." Hal looked at Vegeta's hand. The Saiyan Prince, the arrogant warrior, was offering him a choice to abandon the rigid rules of the core and embrace the chaos of the Dragon Ball universe's endless growth. He realized his current willpower, strong as it was only for maintenance. To win, he needed the Saiyan's transcendent will. "I want to defeat him," Hal managed, his voice a ragged whisper. I need a source of limitless conviction. My ring needs to absorb the will of a true warrior who fights for more than just self-interest." Vegeta gave a cold, confident smirk. "Then take it, Lantern. Take the pride of the Prince of all Saiyans. I will give you a source of power that knows no battery limit, only the limit of your own mind. You will use my ki, and you will use your will, and you will show that bastard Frieza the true power of an unbroken resolve." With that, Vegeta poured his Super Saiyan Blue Kai, a powerful focused torrent of blue energy infused with the purple tint of his final perfected form, directly into Hal Jordan's power ring. The raw, divine energy of God Ki was now colliding with the refined, absolute willpower of the Green Lantern. The moment Vegeta poured his Super Saiyan Blue Kai directly into the power ring, the clash of energy systems was explosive. God Kai, a refined, divine energy that transcends mortal bounds, met the absolute, focused willpower of the Green Lantern core. This was the fusion of a limitless internal energy source with a limitless mental construct engine. Hal Jordan screamed not from pain, but from the sudden, terrifying influx of raw, volatile power. The ring's internal systems, designed for the controlled, predictable energy of the core's battery, were instantly overloaded by the unconstrained, self-sustaining nature of Vegeta's God Ki. Warning: Ki overload, internal power. Matrix integrity 2% and rapidly failing. User's physical body is incapable of sustaining God Ki at this level. System failure imminent. Focus lantern, Vegeta roared, maintaining the Ki flow, his own body shaking from the massive energy drain. Control it. Your will is not a shield. It is a limitless engine. Feel my pride. Feel the will to break every barrier. Use that as your new battery. Hal, driven by Vegeta's unwavering conviction, refused to yield to the pain. He remembered his year of training, the rewritten code of the ring, the ultimate goal, transcendence of the battery limitation. He channeled the overflowing God Ki not into a shield, but directly into his own will. He mentally forced the ring's core matrix to adapt instantly to the Ki's frequency, merging the blue divine power with the emerald light. The result was a spectacular transformation. Hal Jordan's armor flared not with pure green, but with a terrifying shimmering Kian aura, a perfect mix of the Super Saiyan Blue Ki and the Green Lantern willpower. This was a new temporary state of being, the Green Lantern of God Ki. The ring's warning systems instantly shut down, replaced by a single new status. Power source, absolute. Limitations, none. Time limit. God Ki sustained by user's will. Hal Jordan felt the power course through him, not just the ring's immense energy, but the raw, destructive conviction of a Saiyan god. He no longer needed complex constructs. He could now project his will with the speed and force of a pure ki blast, and his body was fortified by the divine energy. He launched himself into the sky, joining the battle that raged between Goku and Frieza. Goku, struggling to maintain his SSB form against Frieza's relentless, low stamina drain attack pattern, was about to be defeated. Frieza saw his opportunity, preparing a rapid-fire succession of death beams. Suddenly, a streak of Kian light tore past Frieza. Hal Jordan didn't create a boxing glove or a sword. He projected his absolute will into a pure, focused, Ki-enhanced willpower punch that slammed directly into Frieza's midsection. Kablam! The impact was devastating. Frieza was sent careening across the sky, his golden form flickering violently, the pure destructive force of the attack overwhelming his Ki control. This was not just a lantern hit, it was a God Ki punch channeled through absolute will, a force Frieza had never faced. What? That light! It's God Ki! Frieza shrieked, his mind unable to comprehend the transformation. Goku was stunned, his eyes wide. That's amazing! He's using our Ki and his will. He broke his limit. Hal Jordan, fueled by the limitless energy, moved with impossible speed. He focused his will on Frieza's vital systems. He created a colossal construct, a perfect, six-sided emerald crystal prison miles wide that instantly enclosed Frieza. But this was no ordinary cage. Hal poured the Ki-infused will into the prison's walls, the energy designed to mimic the Ki disruption protocol at a permanent, total system scale. Frieza, trapped inside the emerald prison, desperately launched 1,000 death beams at the walls. The beams connected, but the prison did not shatter. It absorbed the Ki, the walls glowing brighter with Frieza's own energy. "No, I will not be contained!" Frieza roared, pushing his golden form to its absolute limit, a desperate final surge of Ki. Hal Jordan, his Saiyan aura burning brighter, maintained the prison. "Your power is now your own containment, Frieza. Your will to destroy only strengthens my will to contain you. The freedom of the Z fighters is greater than your tyranny." Hal pushed his willpower to its zenith, causing the entire construct to contract rapidly. The immense Ki-disrupting force of the walls began to crush Frieza's Ki control entirely, forcing him to rapidly revert to his base form, then his first form, and finally, his original weakened state. The compression was not physical, it was an absolute mental suppression of the source of his Ki. Frieza, now a small, pathetic figure in his weakest form, screamed in agony as the immense pressure of the merged ki willpower suppressed his existence. Goku, recovering, saw the opportunity. Hal Jordan had suppressed Frieza, but not destroyed him. He launched one last perfect Kamehameha at the crystal prison. The beam struck the crystal, which amplified the ki rather than absorbing it, channeling the force directly into the trapped tyrant. Frieza's weakened body could not withstand the combined force of the ki suppression and the ki blast. He was instantly reduced to dust, his soul sent to the other world. Hal Jordan's cyan aura instantly faded as the immense effort of maintaining the God Ki-enhanced will prison subsided. Vegeta's Kai, which had been the catalyst, was rapidly draining from his body. Hal descended, exhausted but triumphant. "Humph, you actually did it, Lantern," Vegeta grunted, flying down to meet Hal. "You used my pride to break your own limits. The concept of absolute will truly is a universal power. But you will owe me that charge, worm." Goku arrived, his usual wide smile returning. "That was the best fight ever. You're amazing, Hal. You found a way to win without just being stronger. That was like a final Kamehameha."
Using your brain! Just as the celebration began, a silent, white, impossibly large vessel materialized in the sky above them. It was not a key ship. It was a structure of pure, cold, cosmic engineering. Hal's ring, now back on its own power, 35% charge, instantly registered the new arrivals. Warning: detection of Guardians of the Universe and Green Lantern Corps forces. Disciplinary action imminent. Prepare for sanction. The Guardians of the Universe had arrived, drawn by the catastrophic universal-scale energy signatures of the Kai willpower fusion.
The silent, monolithic presence of the Guardian's vessel, a testament to pure, ancient order, hung in the sky, an unsettling contrast to the beautiful blue and green wreckage of the atmosphere. From the vessel, a detachment of senior Green Lanterns and 3 of the diminutive, blue-skinned Guardians of the Universe descended, encased in powerful, highly regulated armor constructs. Goku and Vegeta immediately sensed the power of the approaching figures. It was not raw, explosive Kai, but an ancient, overwhelming authority that commanded respect. One of the Guardians, an ancient being named Appa, projected his voice with the ring's full authority. "Green Lantern Hal Jordan, you are hereby summoned to stand trial for multiple violations of the Book of Oa, including unsanctioned dimensional breach, Level 1, engaging God-tier entities, Level 5, unauthorized use of foreign energy source, God Kai, to overload sector equipment, Level 9, and mass disruption of universal order, Level 10. Surrender your ring immediately." Hal Jordan, though physically and mentally drained, stood his ground, the cyan remnants of the God Kai willpower fusion still faintly visible in his fading aura. "Guardians, my actions were taken to save an entire planet from Frieza, a known, persistent, universal threat. I adapted to the local power structure to achieve the ultimate goal of the Corps, the preservation of life," Hal countered, his will still unbowed. "Your methods were reckless," Appa commanded. "You risked the entire Corps by introducing an unstable, unknown key source into our technology. Your ring is now corrupted by the chaotic nature of this universe. Surrender it." Before Hal could respond, Vegeta stepped forward, his Super Saiyan blue form flaring one final time, a silent statement of challenge. He stood directly between the Guardians and Hal Jordan, his pride fully engaged. "He will do no such thing," Vegeta stated, his voice a cold, defiant growl. This warrior faced down absolute destruction and chose to break his own rules to win. His chaos saved this planet. His will is stronger than any of your pathetic, fear-driven laws. If you want to take his power, you will have to take mine first. Goku floated beside Vegeta, his usual grin replaced by a look of serious determination. "Yeah, Hal's our friend. He learned how to get stronger just like us. We won't let you bully him." The Guardians were stunned. They had never encountered mortals who could communicate in the language of universal authority or whose raw power so casually matched their own. They turned to Whis, who had finally descended, a knowing smile playing on his lips. "Lord Whis," Appa addressed the angel, his voice cautious. "Your non-interference policy is noted, but this is a violation of cosmic order." Whis chuckled gently. "Is it, little blue one? Mr. Jordan merely learned the fundamental truth of Universe 7. The only true constant is the pursuit of greater strength. He found a way to win. Is not the preservation of life, even through chaotic means, the ultimate goal of your core?" The Guardians, recognizing the angel's implicit protection, knew they could not press the issue. They turned back to Hal Jordan. "We will not risk confrontation with an angel," Appa conceded, his voice filled with ancient disappointment. "But the ring is permanently corrupted by God Kai. It is no longer an official core tool. You are hereby exiled from the core and your sector is reassigned. You will remain here in your universe of chaos until such a time as your ring's energy can be cleansed, a process that may take millennia." Hal Jordan looked down at his ring. It was still green, but the faint cyan sheen was now permanent. It had been broken and rebuilt by his will and Vegeta's pride. He was free. He looked at Goku and Vegeta. They were not just rivals, they were true warriors who had forced him to transcend his own self-imposed limits. He had arrived as a cop and was leaving as a warrior. "I accept your judgment, Guardians," Hal said, his voice ringing with renewed conviction. "My allegiance is no longer to a book of rules, but to the freedom and limitless potential of those who fight for life. I have found my true purpose. Here, my journey to surpass my own will has only just begun." The Guardians and the other lanterns vanished back into their ship, the white vessel silently retreating from Universe 7. Hal turned to Goku and Vegeta, his fatigue instantly forgotten. "That God Key was the key. If I can permanently stabilize the key willpower fusion, my ring will have an infinite energy source limited only by my imagination and my constant training. I need to learn to control and generate pure ki." Goku's grin returned, wide and infectious. "That means you're staying! Awesome! Vegeta, we have a new training partner. We can take him to Whis and learn to control Kai properly, then he can use his ring at full power all the time." Vegeta crossed his arms, the familiar Saiyan smirk returning. Don't think for a second that this makes us equals, Lantern. You possess a unique power, but I am the prince of all Saiyans. You may have beaten Frieza with my help, but you will never surpass me. You need to master that God Key before you can even hope to reach my level. Consider this a permanent rivalry. Your next training session is in the gravity chamber, 1,000 times Earth's gravity. No constructs allowed. Hal Jordan smiled, a true warrior's grin that had been absent since he first donned the ring. He finally understood the joy of endless improvement. "Deal, Prince. Just try not to get surpassed," Hal retorted, his eyes blazing with the emerald fire of a warrior's resolve. The God Kai-infused ring on his finger pulsed, no longer with a battery reading, but with the boundless energy of the Saiyan fighting spirit. The dust of Frieza's defeat settled, but the impact of Hal Jordan's arrival permanently altered the power landscape of Universe 7 with the beam. Green Lantern, initially an antagonist driven by an external rulebook, had been fundamentally changed by the Saiyan philosophy of endless transcendence. By embracing the chaos and absorbing the God Key through Vegeta's ultimate act of pride and rivalry, Hal had not only defeated Frieza, but also found a way to bypass the greatest limitation of his ring, the battery. His new cyan-flickered ring represented a fusion of technology and divinity, a power source that was now truly limitless, driven only by his will and his connection to the infinite potential of Ki. Vegeta had gained the ultimate rival, a non-Saiyan warrior who possessed a power that escalated with pure mental focus, demanding the prince never settle for second place. Goku had gained a new, powerful friend and sparring partner, excited to see the new heights the Green Lantern could reach. Hal Jordan was no longer just the Green Lantern of Sector 2814. He was an exiled warrior, the master of Kai willpower fusion, and a permanent member of Earth's defense, ready to face the next threat on the horizon. A universe of possibilities awaited: the World Martial Arts Tournament, the mysterious powers of the angels, the return of stronger villains, and the ultimate challenge of Ultra Instinct. Hal Jordan would continue to train, his limitless will now fueling an inexhaustible growing power, ready for the next level of ascension. The adventure never ends. More stories await.